Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is Unit 4, Lesson 10 in 5th grade. And today we're back with money because we're going to be back thinking about rounding again. And the best way to think about money or rounding or anything, numbers like that, sometimes, as you hear me say time and time again, is to have materials on hand to think about it and to use. So today, you can see I've got my money. I had to go to the bank actually and get some money to bring to do the lesson with you today. So if you don't just have a bunch of money lying around, don't worry. Most people probably don't, but you could make little slips of paper and turn them into money. You could use something else to represent. So please do find some materials to work with. It just makes it so much easier to think about. So we are thinking about rounding today. I'm on page 175 in our book. And the first question wants us to think about 42. So you can see I've got now $42. So you can see there's 4 tens and then 2 ones. And it wants us to round to the nearest 10. What that means is it wants us to tell us, is $42, is it closer to something that we can make with only tens? Which one is it closer to? So means if we had to say that this is $42, it's either closer to the 40, so it's closer to 40, or change out that this 2 for another 10, it's closer to 50. So we need to say, is $42, is it closer to 40 or is it closer to 50? When we say it's in the tens, we think we only have numbers that are groups of 10. So if we want to round it to the tens, the only choices are numbers that are in groups of 10. So here's a group of 1 10, 2 tens, 3 tens, 4 tens, or is it closer to 5 tens? How are we going to figure that out? Well, first of all, you might say, if you said, well, I need to pay $42 for a shirt. Now, if I was going to pay something that was only in tens, would it be closer to say I paid 40, or would it be closer to say I paid 50? Well, you probably are thinking, that's kind of an easy one. It would be 40. It would be closer to 40. And you would be right. Remember, if the number that we're trying to see about rounding, if that is a number that's smaller than 5, as in 4, 3, 2, 1, or 0, then it just rounds to the lower amount. So in this case, 42, we would just take away those 2 and we would round it to 40. If the number is 5 or higher, that's when we round up. So if this number was 42, we would round it down to 40. If this number was 47, what if the number was 47? Well, then when we were rounding, 7 is a pretty big number. 47 is pretty close. We'd change that 7 in for another 10. It's pretty close to 50. So we would round it to 50. Here's the one that's tricky. What if that number was 45? 5 is right in the middle. Would we round it to 5, down to 40, or up to 50? Well, I hope you're saying if it's a 5, it's big enough to round up. So then we round it up to 50. So if we had 41, it rounds to 40. If we had 42, it rounds to 40. If we had 43, it rounds to 40. If we had 44, it rounds to 40. But as soon as we get, I lost my 5. I don't know where my 5 went. Oh, there it is. As soon as we get to 45, now it rounds to 50. 46 rounds to 50. 47 rounds to 50. 48 rounds to 50. 49 rounds to 50. So when we're rounding, we have to round to a number that's in a tens place or a multiple of 10, like 100, 1,000, 10,000, thousandths, so, or hundredths or tenths. So when we're rounding, if the number that we're looking at, if it's 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, it just rounds down. But if it's 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, it rounds up. Let's look at that in change. All right, welcome back. We're on number 3, and we're rounding decimals. And it's 86 hundredths, but in this case, I'm going to use money to show it, and it's 86 cents. So here I have 8 dimes. Remember, a dime is 1/10 of a dollar, so it's 8 groups of 1/10, so 86 cents, and then 80, that's the 80 cents, and then 6, there's a nickel and a penny for 6 cents. Now, we have to figure out, we're rounding it. Remember, we are only rounding it to a place that's either a tenths place or a number that has a 10 but is like a multiple of 10, 10, 100, thousands, or tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So something that ends in a 0 and a 1. That's our base 10 system. So we are rounding this one to the tenths place. Which coin is worth a tenth of a dollar? Well, hopefully you're saying it's a dime. A dime is 1/10 of a dollar. So we need to know, does this 86 cents, it's rounding to the dimes. So would we just take it away and round it to 80 cents? Or would we go to the next higher one, which is 90 cents? Would 86 cents round down to 80 or round up to 90? Well, let's look at it. It's 86. Remember, we said if it's a 5 or higher, it rounds up. So if this was 85 cents, it would round up to 90. Since it's even bigger than that, it's 86 cents, it rounds up to 90. What if it was 81 cents? It would round down to 80. What if it was 82 cents? Round down to 80. What if it was 83 cents? Round down to 80. What if it was 84 cents? Round down to 80. What if it was 85 cents? As soon as it gets to the 5, it's big enough so it rounds up to 90. 86 rounds up to 90. 87 rounds up to 90. 88 rounds up to 90. And finally, 89 cents is super close and might be the easiest one to think about. It rounds up to 90. And if you can think about it in money, decimals are really easier to think about because we know a lot about money already. We know about paying with money. We see signs all the time about money. So if you can think about it in money, sometimes that can help you. I'm looking at number 6. 71. It wants us to round to the nearest 10. We have 7 tens and 1 1. So 71. So it wants us to round to the nearest tens. That means it wants us to round to the nearest 10, like $10 bill. So should we just get rid of it? Is it closer to 7D? Or should we put another 10 in? Is it closer to 80? Well, hopefully you're thinking, it's only 1 away from 70. It's very close to 70. It would round down to 70. So we would just get rid of it and round it down to 70. What about number 7? You can see number 7 is 85. The 5s are the tricky ones. They're right in the middle. Because usually you can say, is it closer to the lower number or is it closer to the higher number? 5's right in the middle. What are you going to do? Round up. So if it's 5, you're going to go to the higher number. So instead of rounding down to 80, you're going to round up to 90. Let's look at number 13. 73 hundredths. We're going to think of it as 73 cents. So I have 7 of the tenths, because dimes are 1/10 of a dollar. So 7 tenths, and then 3 pennies. Pennies are 1/100th of a dollar. So we've got 73 hundredths. So we have to decide, are we going to just get rid of those and change it to 70 or 70 hundredths, or are we going to trade them in for another dime to be 80 hundredths? Well, which one makes sense? There's 3 of them. Remember, if it's 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, the smaller number just stays with the smaller number. We just take them away and we round it down to the lower number. If it was 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, then we would round up to the next closest dime. In this case, we don't have enough to round up to the next closest dime, so we just round down to 70 hundredths. Let's look at number 14. This time we have 9 dimes, 90 hundredths, and 1 penny, 1/100th. So these are tenths. We've got 9 tenths and 1/100th. So we have 91 cents, and we're trying to round it to the nearest tenth place, so to the nearest dime. So do we just get rid of it and have 9 dimes? Or do we get rid of it? Or do we trade it in for a bigger one? In which case we have 10 dimes, which we would actually trade in then for. I hope you said a dollar bill, because 10 dimes are $1. So it's 91 cents. Should we, if we're rounding it to the tenths place, the nearest dime, would we round it to 9 dimes or 10 dimes, which is $1? Well, it's only one measly little penny, so we just round it to 9. 9 dimes, 90 cents. So we round 91 hundredths to 90 hundredths. Okay, this is the silly one again. So if you've watched these videos before, you know that sometimes it gives us a problem that is in the thousandths place, and with money, we don't have any money that's in the thousandths place. So you remember from last time, I was trying to figure out what, if we had 10 of them, could equal a penny. The only thing I could come up with was chocolate chips. So we have, in this problem, we're on number 17, we have 532 thousandths. What that means is we've got 5 of the tenths size piece, so 5 dimes, 3 of the hundredths size piece, so it's 3 pennies, and then 2 of the 1,000th size piece, and that's chocolate chips. So we have to round this to the nearest hundredths place. So we want to round it to the nearest penny. So we're going to look at the place value that is smaller than that, the smaller place value. So this is the tenths place, this is the hundredths place, this is the thousandths place. So if we're rounding to the hundredths place, we look one place to the right, one place to the of the smaller amount, and we say there's 2 hundredths. Is that enough to trade in for one more penny? Hold on, can't find. Oh, there we go. Are these 2 chocolate chips enough to trade in for one more penny? Or are they a small enough amount that we just get rid of them? 2 chocolate chips, 2 1,000th pieces. Well, there's only 2. Remember, if it's 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, we just get rid of it. If it was bigger than that, if it was 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, we would trade it in for another penny. But it's not bigger, so in this case, we just get rid of the thousandths there. We make it 0, and now we have 5 in the tenths place, 3 in the hundredths place. We rounded it to the hundredths place. We just got rid of those thousandths because there was only 2 of them. Now let's look at number 19. Number 19 says 789 thousandths. So there's the 7 in the tenths place. There's the 8 in the hundredths place. And then these chocolate chips are representing the thousandths place, remember? So there's 9 of them in the thousandths place. Remember, we're pretending that it takes 9 chocolate chips to equal 1 penny. So it takes 10 pennies to equal a dime, and it takes 10 chocolate chips to equal 1 penny. Now, we need to round 789 thousandths to the nearest hundredth. Remember, the pennies are the hundredth spot because it takes 100 to make a dollar. So we're looking at the place value that's smaller than that to give us the hint. So we look to the right, and we look over and we see we have 9 chocolate chips. The most we could have there is 9, because if we had one more, it would change into a penny. So we're so close already to changing into a penny. So if we round it, are we going to round it down and just get rid of them? Or are we going to round it up and get a new penny? Well, I hope you said we're rounding it up, because 9 is the biggest you can get without already changing the number. So we're going to take these 9 chocolate chips and trade them in for a penny when we're rounding up. We're going to round it up 1 more penny. So our answer is 7 dimes and 9 pennies. So 79 hundredths is what we round that to. Okay, you might be saying, well, fine, that's great, but what is the real purpose of rounding? The purpose of rounding? It's simply to make things easier and be able to judge how close you are if you can't find the correct answer right away, the real answer, or if you don't necessarily need to, or if you're trying to see if you already did find the right answer. So let's look at page 176. We're going to do 2 problems together. Number 23. The problem is 24 times 39. Well, 24 times 39, out of my head, I don't know. It's going to ask you to find the exact answer, but let's talk about how to find the estimate, the close answer. 24. Well, we're going to round that to the nearest tens place. That's a number in the tens, so we're going to round it in the tens. So is 24 closer to, again, if you're having a hard time thinking of it, think about it in terms of $10 bills. Is $24 closer to 2 $10 bills or 3 $10 bills? Is it closer to 20 or 30? Well, it's closer to 20, isn't it? So we're going to round that to 20. What about 39? Is 39 closer to 3 $10 bills, or is it closer to 4 $10 bills? 30 or 40? It's very close to 40. So we're going to round that to 40. Super easy to find our answer now. Multiply the numbers that aren't zeros. 4 and 2 is 8. Then there's 2 zeros in the problem, so we need 2 zeros in the answer. 800. So you're going to find the actual answer, but you know it's going to be close to 800. Let's try this one. 151. Now, you've got a couple choices. Does it tell us? Nope. We've got some choices. We could change it to rounding it to the tens place. So we could choose between 150 and 160, or we could round it to the hundredths place, which is going to change it kind of a lot because 151 is a long way from either 100 or 200. So let's instead change it to the tens place. 151 is really close to 150. 32. Are we going to round it to 30 or to 40? We're going to round it to 3 tens or 4 tens. 32 is pretty close to 30. It's much closer than it is to 40. Now, again, we can estimate. If I know 15 times 2 is 30, and double that is 60. So I actually know 15 times 4 is 60. So I'm going to write that down. I know that's 60. And then there's 2 zeros in the problem, so I need to stick 1, 2 zeros in the answer. So I know my answer 151 times 32 is going to be about 6,000. Good luck. See you next time.